Welcome to another episode of my story. It is my incredible pleasure to welcome this beautiful woman on the set of my story. I call her my champion friend. As a matter of fact, I give myself lots of credit because I've taken some of the best pictures of her during our friendship. She is a mother, she's a wife, and she's a runner. Welcome, Tash Rhode, to the set of my story.
Thank you so much. Wonderful to be here.
So Tash, you and I come a long way in corporate. As a matter of fact, I know your husband longer than what I know you. We worked together in corporate. And then subsequently, my late husband and your husband became the greatest pals ever. But during my tenure in corporate, you were introduced to me as the new kid on the block. We met, we clicked, and the rest is history.
Absolutely.
So Tash, you've overcome lots of hurdles during our friendship. As a matter of fact, both of us have walked quite difficult journeys and roads, and nothing compares to your journey. And we can touch on many stories, as you know, but we're going to address one particular story during your lifetime. So I want to pick up on the year 2016. Tell us what happened in 2016 with your sister.
Okay. In 2016, my elder sister, Cindy, was diagnosed with breast cancer. April of 2016, and it was a big shock to our entire family because none of the women in our family has had breast cancer. Our concern, of course, with Cindy was her age. She'd never had kids, which put her in a high risk position. And all these things you will only learn if you are diagnosed with breast cancer. None of it is a concern any time before that. And we walked a journey with Cindy. It started with chemo around her birthday in June, which was quite late, but she was under a government hospital. And what happened was our second elder sister, Bridget, was in Dubai. And with that, Bridget decided that she would commute home regularly to support Cindy on her chemo journey. Because initially it's not that bad, and then it progresses to a stage where you need support. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And knowing our sister, she's only going to accept support from her sisters. And we had set out something where the months that Cindy would have to go to chemo, we would alternate. I would come up from Joburg. Then there was it was a very difficult time. It was a sad time because I wasn't at home in Cape Town anymore. We had just packed up a year previously and made a life in Johannesburg. So to suddenly hear that, the first thing you think of when somebody is diagnosed with cancer, and it is, you do think about death. You don't know enough about it. But the C word just
frightens everybody.
Everybody. And with good reason. I understand that part now as well.
So Tash, I remember quite clearly you calling your friends in Cape Town, saying this is what's happened to Cindy, you asking for prayer, you saying Bridget is coming to support her, and you and Bridget are going to alternate. And you did mention that you was through work-related business moved to Johannesburg. And then we'll fast forward to August of 2016. I clearly remember that day. We met as two couples at the V&A waterfront, and I knew that you had seen Cindy that day. As a matter of fact, you took her to her chemo therapy, and then you decided you are here, you may as well go and have yourself checked out, and tell me what happened and what you told me that day.
So on the 9th of August is my birthday. I'm a National
Women's Day.
So I decided I didn't want a party in Cape Town. And we're big socialites. We love good parties. But I was really battling to come to terms with what Cindy was going through. And I wasn't here. I didn't feel present. So to honor her, I had met a friend in Johannesburg who was also running, and we were at school together. We decided to do the women's breast cancer race in Fordsburg for my birthday because I didn't want. So it was early morning. It would just be 4 of us, the husbands and the 2 of us. We entered the race and we did a 10-kilometer race in honor of Cindy. And my best time ever for a 10-kilometer, 56 minutes.
Wow.
And that was all I wanted for that day. Knowing 2 days later, I was flying to Cape Town on the 12th, and I would take Cindy to chemo in that week. And I had little Alex with me, who was only 4 years old probably at the time. Cindy was at Grooteskier Hospital, and the waiting period obviously for chemo is an entire day. So because I had the little one with me, I could take him away and Cindy would communicate in terms of when she's done. With that, I did call my own doctor here in Durbanville and said to him, I haven't seen a gynae in Johannesburg because we've been there for a year. I haven't really met anybody.
Yeah.
So he said to me, pop around on Thursday. And Pedro would fly in on the Friday to spend the weekend with us. We'll make a weekend of it in Cape. It was fine taking Cindy to chemo. My sister did exceptionally well on chemo. In fact, it was amazing. By the time I would have to face it, and that's what I'll always say to a breast cancer patient, it's not the same. Everybody's body is different. And they always said you're on the same bloodline, you should react. And we were on the same type of treatment eventually. But your body reacts completely differently. Cindy would come home and she would be absolutely okay. She would do the dishes, she wouldn't go and sleep.
Live a normal life.
No, absolutely. I've never made no fuss about it. It's over, it's done with, we continue.
Yes.
Whereas you sit there and feel, what can I do? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that for her? Don't do this. It's not like that. And I went on the Thursday. I had Alex with me. Said to my doc, Cindy's been diagnosed with breast cancer. He said to me, highly unlikely. You're 44 years old. You've had kids.
Yes.
You don't smoke anymore.
Yeah.
Your risk rate is much lower than your
Plus
sisters.
you're healthy, you're a runner.
I'm a runner. Your risk rate is much, much lower than your sisters. He said, but you know what? We will only start your mammogram next year at 45. But in this case, let's just get it all done since you are here. And of course, I had to sit because I didn't have an appointment. He did the pap smear. I went to the mammography department. And within an hour, without a biopsy confirmation, it was quite clear that I was sitting with a lump in my left breast.
How did you feel when that news was given to you?
I always say that God steps in and takes over in moments like that. Because I had my 4-year-old sitting at the foot of the bed asking me, Mommy, what are they doing? So they do your sonar scan, and that's where they actually see this, what is known as a tumor.
Yes.
They'll see it. And to us, I never felt my tumor. I never ever felt it physically. You know, unlike my sister, it was quite obvious that there was something sticking out there. And she just didn't react fast enough. Breast cancer there is a cure. Early diagnosis is the best. Have your mammogram check every single year so that they have a baseline to check from every single year. Cindy didn't like doctors.
So then they find this tumor. You then have to commute from the northern suburbs to the southern suburbs with this news, keeping it to yourself.
In traffic.
I think your husband is on an aeroplane.
Yeah, he's answered none of the messages.
Exactly.
That's right.
And then talk to us from the time you shared your news with your husband and your journey up until then, going back to Johannesburg.
Yeah, so he arrived late that Thursday evening. And eventually, still didn't read the messages. Eventually, when he called me in the Uber, he was going to book in at the City Lodge because it was late already and we got to bed early in Muizenberg. And I said to him, they found something in my breast. And I remember his whimper, the sound that he made.
Mm-hmm.
I can still hear the way he said it. And he said to me, I'm coming through. I said, no, go to the hotel, go and rest. We'll do this
in the morning.
We have to go back to the hospital. It all happened so fast. With them knowing that, yes, it's quite clear that her sister has breast cancer, but she doesn't live here. She's leaving on Monday. She's going to Johannesburg. And they needed to give me the information that I could carry over to whichever doctor I was going to see. No relationships in Joburg with doctors. None. All I knew was I had to go home. My home in Johannesburg.
Because you still have 2 boys there.
I have 2 boys there and we've made a life there now. We didn't know a lot of people at the time.
But that was your home.
That was my home, and all I knew was, and my parents, my family, were already so overwhelmed with the fact that Cindy had breast cancer.
Yes.
And the changes that was happening so fast that they could see in her. Of course, it became a concern for them. So I always felt that being away, even with my friends, it was easier if you didn't see it. And when I spoke, it was a case of, she's fine. She's fine, because that's what you do. You still continue with life. Pedro picked me up. Pedro came through the next morning. We went to the hospital. We got given CD scans. Doc met with us. He said, stay. Please stay in Cape Town. Don't you want to stay in Cape Town for the next 6 months? I already figured out that they were looking at treatment.
Yes.
And I said, no, I've got to go home. We have got to go home. With that, we avoided everybody for the entire weekend. But we decided to meet with you and Mark on the boat.
So I'm going to pick up from there. So we meet at the V&A Marina. I say to you, hi Cindy, how was the trip to Groote Hospital? How's she doing? And you say she's doing fine. You're telling me exactly what you're telling our viewers today. And then the men go off to go and buy supper for us. And you say, Ron, I have something to tell you. And I say, please don't make me stop.
That's exactly
now I'm thinking you're going to tell me bad news about Cindy. And you say, they found a lump in my breast. And we go silent. And I said, does Mark know? And you said, no, I think Pedro is telling him. That's why the 2 of them went off. And of course, I just remember shock. Because that's not what you want to hear. I mean, you hear for your sister, actually. And now you're saying they found a lump. And I remember how horrified and scary and emotional turmoil you go through. And I said, how are you doing? And she said, I'm fine, but I'm going home. And so then you get on a plane on the Monday and you go home. Of course, you keep us all informed. And so tell us about that journey from when you met the doctor that was going to walk this path with you.
So in Johannesburg, we only have a GP. That's where we've gone to now for the past year, if the kids were ill or whatever. I mean, you don't think about an oncologist or...
Those words never ever crossed your mind.
And going to a breast clinic. And where's a breast clinic? Who has a breast clinic? I didn't know about those things. So we went to our GP on the Tuesday. We arrived on the Monday. The Tuesday morning, we were by the GP. We gave her the slides, we gave her the disc, whatever. She took one look at it and sent it to a hospital very close to us, in walking distance, in fact, the new Fourways Life Hospital. And the strangest thing about that day was the way she looked at what she was reading as a medical doctor and sent it off while we were sitting there. The phone rang and they said to her, we can only see her in 2 weeks on a Thursday. And I'm still going, okay.
It's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's 2 weeks, on a Thursday. But she did ask, she said, can we do this any sooner? I still don't know what she's looking at. Can we do this any sooner? No, mammography department is full. By the time I walked out of her surgery to get to our car, Fourways Life called and asked, can you come in tomorrow for a biopsy? Amazing. And I think that sparked something, a deep sense inside of me that I wasn't alone. Somebody was taking the wheel.
Yes. Yes.
That's exactly what it is. Because I know nobody here.
Yes. And nobody knows you.
No.
And yes.
But the fact that that hospital called and brought an appointment away earlier, almost 2 weeks, I went in for the biopsy. Not a pleasant experience at all, because you're looking at a little piece of meat that they literally need to get a sample of.
Yeah.
But you go through it and you get through it. 48 hours later, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer.
How did you feel with that news?
I was shaken. I was shaken, and Pedro was, of course, back at the office. I do everything on my own when I'm in Johannesburg. That's what you do. You cope. You just do what you need to do. And this was a doctor's visit. So you go back to your GP, who now gets the information back from Fourways Life. And I went there and she said, we're looking at stage 3 cancer. And she sat there looking at me for a while, like I looked at her. Because I'm like...
Like silence.
Yeah, okay. I don't know anybody. I don't have we don't even hear about an oncologist. I don't have a breast doctor. And she said, have you heard about Cattle Ben? I said, no. She said, we need to get you with Cattle Ben. I said, right, whoever Cattle Ben is, we're going to go to Cattle Ben. I called Pedro, couldn't get hold of him. Called my brother, who was in a conference. And I messaged him. I said, I need to talk to you, which never happens. In our family, we can hold things off quite nicely. And Randall came out and he called me. And I said to him, I have breast cancer. And my brother, being my brother, obviously went, what the is going on?
Because it's now Cindy,
Yeah.
his older sister, and now you,
The youngest.
his baby sister.
Yeah. And the two of us are closer to each other now in Johannesburg, because he's in Pretoria. And we're far away from the family in Cape Town.
Yeah.
So basically we have
Each other.
And by the time Pedro saw, I was still in the doctor. I was numb. I just sat down for a while. I had to wait because she was trying to get hold of this Cattle Ben breast clinic in Mill Park, which is on the other side of Johannesburg. And she decided she's going to get hold of them. I've got to sit. They're going to get the appointment right now. And within that time, Pedro called me as well.
And you could share with him.
I could just say to him, it's confirmed.
Yeah.
I have stage 3 breast cancer. And because, of course, I could say that, and he understood from me doing research with Cindy. I knew exactly what was going on. It wasn't foreign.
Yes.
It had just moved
Closer.
really close. And there wasn't much that Pedro could say. All that he said was, I'm coming home. And I said, that's fine.
Then your journey begins. Let's fast track. And so your journey of chemo begins.
Yeah.
And you, of course, let all your friends and family know in Cape Town, and we're equally horrified because we've just come to terms with Cindy's news. Now our dearest and good friend is also diagnosed. So we fast-track to your process of chemo.
So mine was a very quick process. It's not everybody's. They first got to understand your tumor, your type of cancer. It is a bit of a waiting game, but if you are walking in faith, you soon figure out that I am on the right path. I've just got to keep walking
And get through this.
I've just got one day at a time, and that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
It is one day at a time, and you do have that. You absolutely do have that. I was diagnosed with the actual tumor. They gave it a name on the 24th of August. By the 20th of September, I was going to start my first chemo.
Mm-hmm.
Leading up to September, because I had read so much about it, I decided that I would take my own hair off.
So I want to stop you there. So we all know Tash as this curly, long mane of hair. And we get the news that you're not going to wait until you have this massive hair loss and fall out and go through that harder and shock. You're going to go and shave your hair. And I remember me being in Cape Town. Some of your friends flew up to Johannesburg. You had your family, you had your loved ones, you had friends that you had then made that you knew from the past but had come closer, and you had them all surrounding you, and you were going to make this almost a celebration and a ritual of shaving hair. And I'm on the phone in Cape Town because I want to be part of this experience, and we know that you're going to lose all these locks. Tell us about that day.
I think with the hair loss was probably more traumatic for the people who knew me than it was for myself. Because like I said, I've done research. I knew what was going to happen to Cindy. I knew the names of the drugs. So when I could ask my doctor, am I having this, that, or the other? And she said, yes. So we are going to have hair loss, but don't worry about it. There's lots. I said, I'm not actually worried about it. One of the things I will tell any woman is if you have kids, it is so important that when you are still healthy, inside it's hard, but everybody still sees the physical you from the outside. But for your kids, I took my hair off healthy and happy with champagne in my hand and the Lord in my heart.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Because I did not want my kids to associate that hair loss with me leaning over the toilet pot.
Yes.
Because in every movie, that's how you actually
Exactly. You didn't want that picture for them. Because they're young at this stage. Yeah. Just remind us how old they were.
They were 4, 11 and 14. They were young boys.
Yes.
And they had just moved to a completely different place. So I decided to throw this. It was a party.
Yeah.
And I invited somebody who was cutting all our family in Broad Acres. I invited him over to the party, and I explained to him, and he said, not a problem. I had a girlfriend come up who also liked short hair.
Yes.
So she said
she will shave her hair.
In fact, I actually remember a phone call soon after diagnosis, and the question she asked me was, are you going to lose your hair? I said yes. She said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to take it off. I'm going to take it off while I still have control.
Yes.
I'm not going to let cancer take my hair.
Exactly.
It will grow, but I'm going to take it off. So she said to me, please let me know when I'm going to come up and I'm going to take my hair off with you. It was beautiful.
I know.
It was absolutely beautiful. It was in my sacred space, which is my bedroom. I had my candles, I had my Bible, I had my rosary. You know, my sister-in-law is a prayer warrior.
Yes.
She could do that. But through everybody's eyes, I could see that it was hard for them. it was hard
Yes.
for everybody around
Yes.
me. I mean, there I sat with like 3 clumps
Of hair.
of really
Thick.
thick girl.
Like ponytails almost.
And even that, I said, you know, they cut it in such a way that you can actually send it off. So my hair ended up with some child probably who didn't have hair, who was going through.
Amazing. Amazing.
So
that day I remember clearly, and then I want to again fast track through your chemo journey. You were like this waif-like person. You went bald. You looked stunning. I captured some pictures of you being bald, which I'm very proud of. You carried bald with boldness. I always say you're my brave friend, you're my champion. And then on a particular day, I was doing an interview with Cape Town Television, and an ex-colleague of ours, that's a mutual friend. We had to stop the production because this noise came up from behind us. And there our dear friend Vanessa was, and I say to her, I'm flying up to Tash, come with. And she says, I can never because of work. And so I said, well, I'm going to go and I'm going to just be with you and feed you and bath you and laugh with you and cry with you and anoint you.
Yeah.
And I'm going. And 2 days later, she called me to say, I've got my ticket book. I'm coming with you. So Vanessa and I fly down to you or up to you. I never know if it's down or up to Joburg, up to you.
I'm coming down.
And there we came as your friends just to journey with you and support you. And we all even sported dukes on our head. We called ourselves the Dookie Gang, just to be with a friend. And then we're now journeying into now again weeks ahead and months ahead. As a matter of fact, you taught Vanessa and I how to green juice.
Yeah,
we had green juice every morning. We all went healthy. We all wanted to change our lifestyle.
Yep.
You lectured all of us on what we should be eating, what we should be doing, and looking after our bodies. And then you even came down as the end of that particular year, I think, or it could have even been the next, to Cape Town, when we all holidayed together on the West Coast, and you were still bald and you were still going through your journey. So Tash, I want to pick up from and tell the viewers that a year later, your sister Cindy passed away. In that same year, your mom was diagnosed with cancer. She passed away. The trauma on the family, the gathering of friends, your support, your prayer intercessors. We saw you journeying through this period of your life. And in my eyes, you were always, and you know that I always say, you were brave. You make me brave. You were strong. You lived. You were going to conquer this. You were going to overcome this because you're a wife and you're a mommy and you want to live.
I want to live.
And today, you're alive and you're well and you're healed and you're whole. And so where is Tash right now?
Right now, Tash is sitting in Cape Town, ready to leave the big Gauteng to come home to the beach. And along with that, I can honestly say that if I haven't figured out through cancer what I'm supposed to be doing, I probably never would have figured out. But I'm there to serve others. And the amazing thing is, knowing that I was coming to Cape Town, I've already received calls from women with cancer in Cape Town saying, please can't we meet? And I think that's what I'm there for. I'm there to serve, help others on their journey.
Support.
Don't be
Yes.
afraid.
Don't be afraid.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
Not at all.
Tash, that's an incredible story. And I know we can go on and on and on. And of course, I'm very pleased that you are relocating back to Cape Town and have you, my friend, here with us again.
Absolutely.
And I just want to say to the viewers, thank you for watching this episode. Tash, thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for sharing your story with us and just for encouraging us and inspiring us. You make me brave.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you. Thank you for watching this episode of my story. If you enjoyed this, won't you please like, subscribe and share. See you next time on the set of My Story.